Hi, I'm the Disaster Amnesiac, and I'm here with Steev Hise in Tucson, Arizona. And we're going to talk today about the Luggage Store creative music series that Steve was an important part of from about the late 1990s to the early 2000s. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, approximately. I think probably '99 was the first time I like put together a show there, and then starting in 2000, I started regularly doing like one a month.
Mm.
The series had been going, I think, since the mid '90s, and it was like if I recall right, it was Thursdays. Every Thursday.
Mm.
My specialty was like electronic music, so um, I started doing like one of those Thursdays a month, focusing on that kind of music.
Okay, yeah.
And then I did that till 2002, I guess.
Oh, okay. That being said, I'd like to backtrack a bit and ask you what brought you to San Francisco?
Ah, that's a good question. So in '95, I started graduate school at CalArts down in Los Angeles,
Mm.
and after the first year, I well, I during that year I like visited San Francisco for the first time, and I really liked it. And then that academic year ended, and I decided to spend the summer in San Francisco, intending to go back to school after that. But um, in San Francisco, this was like summer of '96, and this was like the middle of like the .com revolution or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and I had this background in computers and stuff, but I was also doing like electronic art and music in grad school. And so the web kind of was like this combination of those two interests for me.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up getting a job in San Francisco, and I just decided to stay up there and not go back to school. So I never finished my MFA, but I pretty quickly like got involved with the like, what do you call it? Like the artistic music, creative music scene in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how I ended up there.
Oh, great. Okay. Let's hold on to especially the aspect of the creative, artistic side of San Francisco in that era. Obviously, that is important to the Luggage Store uh, story, both the visual and the music side. I
Yeah.
know there is a difference between the two, so please hold on to that because I hope that we circle back to that at least once.
Okay.
How was it that you found out about the Luggage Store music series? Like, did you just wander in off of Market Street because you heard some weird sound coming out of a window? Or did you meet some people who said that they knew of a spot where creative music was occurring?
Let's see. I think so. It all kind of came about like, one venue and one contact at a time. I just like got more and more involved with the scene.
Mm.
And I think the first, like, my first experience with creative music or experimental music, whatever you want to call it, was in Berkeley. I can't remember the name of the venue, but
Was it Bean Benders?
yes,
or?
Bean Vendors.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And there was what's the guy's name? The saxophone player that kind of ran that series. Older guy.
Yeah, he played with William Wynant and people like that.
Yeah. So he did this series at Beanbenders, and I think that was like one of the first shows I went to that was, you know, in that zone of like out there music. And from there, like I learned about, like even back then there was this site which is still in existence called Bay Improviser, and it's kind of this great like not only calendar but like just directory of like everybody in the Bay Area doing interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's a wealth of information, and also at this point kind of an archive. I know that in my case I spent time kind of looking back on to previous eras of creative music production in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah, it's cool. You can
it's a good thing.
Click through to, you know, look at a venue or like look at a certain artist, figure out, you know, what their bio or, you know, what they're all about, and then also look at upcoming events. So that was kind of like a big gateway into things. And then I don't remember the first Luggage Store show, but, you know, just being hooked in through Bay Improviser, I knew, you know, about the Luggage Store, of course.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. And I think I went to several shows there, you know, between 96 and 99, without, well, I forget if I did a show. So it was curated by Ernesto Diaz Infante.
Yeah.
During that time.
Yeah.
And I forget if he had me play during that time, but for whatever reason, I got to know him and proposed doing like organizing a show there.
Yeah.
And then it went well, and he said, you know, are you interested in like doing one a month? And I think he was starting to get, you know, starting to burn out on it, and so the idea of like having one less show a month for that he had the program
right.
was attracted to him.
Can I ask, when you played there, what style or instrumentation did you use at your initial gig at the Luggage Store?
Well, back then my work was pretty much centered on sample-based music.
Okay.
I was really involved with kind of evangelizing the idea that musicians and artists have always recycled culture. They've always made stuff out of pre-existing stuff, and that's something they should be able to do and not be persecuted for. And there were several like high-profile legal cases where there were artists getting in trouble for doing that stuff. And
so kind of going back to the Negative Land, U2, Flap, and things like
yeah,
that.
I was really inspired by Negative Land. Some other artists, John Oswald from Toronto and his Plunderphonics
right.
stuff. And the Tape Beatles, who are from Iowa, where I'm from. Those are like the three big influences on my sample-based work.
Okay.
But I was also, at the time, really interested in like free improvised music, and I'm a guitarist, and so I've always kind of like occupied both of those spaces, like guitar, noisy guitar, prepared guitar, and then on the other side, electronics, making soundscapes and collages out of other sounds. So that was the kind of thing I was doing at that time, mostly with a laptop, sometimes with MIDI controllers hooked into the laptop.
Okay.
Generating kind of sound collages on the fly. So it was
Okay.
improvised, but it was also sample based.
Okay, good. It's interesting when you said free improvisation. I remembered the name of the musician that we were talking about earlier. That was Glenn Spearman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, tenor saxophone player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of thought there.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Steve. What was the space? Where was the space located for the series at that time, and what were your impressions? What was it like?
Okay. So the space was on Market. I can't remember the cross street. Was it 6th or something? It was on the corner.
Yeah,
Market and something.
The Luggage Store that I became very familiar with is at 6th Street and Market.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you go up a flight of
really
steps.
steep flight of steps.
Yeah. Okay. So
and
it's that was the space.
Yeah. I think it's always been. Well, the Luggage Store as a gallery has moved around a little. I think it used to be before that. It was like further north on the other side of Market,
right,
sort of in the Tenderloin area.
Okay.
And then, as far as I think I heard that it's going to move again, and that might be part of why the series is ending.
Yeah.
But it was, a pretty standard, like, big white, not cube, but rectangle, and they had it was really high ceilings, and they always had art in there. Sometimes they had sculptures, and so when we did a show, we'd have to like work around the sculptures or whatever was already in the room,
right?
Which was interesting. And the back, where people, like, where there would be a stage, there wasn't really a stage, but the stage area was in the front of the building, behind, in front of the windows overlooking Market Street. So
got to love those windows.
Yeah, you'd always see, as you were watching shows, you'd see the headlights going by, or like police cars with their sirens blaring or whatever.
Market Street ambience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And right across from there, from Market, or across Market, was the Tenderloin area, which is has always been one of the roughest parts of San Francisco.
Yeah.
So it was always interesting, loading in and out for shows. You didn't want to leave your car double parked for too long.
Right. I'd like to tie that point you just made actually to my next question about the logistics of the Luggage Store as you experienced them. For example, how was it rented? Did the space ever have issues with landlord for the good or the bad?
I didn't really have much contact with the two owners of the gallery. As I always understood it, it wasn't like a rental situation. It was just kind of like they let Ernesto do stuff there.
Oh, okay.
As long as it didn't conflict with, like an opening, opening of an exhibit or something. But,
that's really
all
cool.
The other days of the month, it was just an art gallery.
Yeah.
And they were just letting these weird music nights happen every Thursday. I don't remember there ever being, any friction with the folks that ran the gallery.
Do you recall the names of those people? I think it would be great for them having such a cool attitude, a helpful attitude towards creative musicians.
Yeah. It was a man and woman, but it's been so long I don't remember their names.
Okay, well we'll find out eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Very good. Getting the word out for your shows. Obviously, at this time, the internet was in a very nascent public stage. We know that it had been developed, but the access wasn't nearly as easy as it's become.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask you about advertising and promotion for your shows or Ernesto's shows,
Mm-hmm.
either one. Like I was thinking, like, did you guys ever go talk on KUSF or KFJC or CalX, or did you? There was a guy in the Bay Area who did the List, but that was mostly like punk rock shows.
Apparently he's still doing that.
Oh yeah, if he's alive, he's doing it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
And I talked to somebody when I was last there a few weeks ago, and they said there's various people who have taken the List and turned it into like prettier websites, like because the way that
Excellent.
that the original guy does it is just like a really plain list of text.
Right.
So people like have taken that and like prettied it up and turned it into an actual interactive calendar and stuff. So yeah, it's like it's a living, breathing organism.
Tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the Luggage Store. So yeah, getting back to that, did you go on radio or how did you get the word out for your shows?
So also during the late 90s time period, I started this website called detritus.net, and it's basically all about evangelizing that idea of like sample-based art, appropriation, making stuff out of pre-existing art. The idea was to like, just present examples of that work, provide a place for people just to discuss that and related like news. And so there was a mailing list that got to be pretty well used. People all over the world were on it, but there were also like lots of people in the Bay Area that were on it. And
Okay.
it was called Rumori, which means noise in Italian, and I was inspired by the Intona Rumori, which were these noise-making machines that the composer Luigi Russolo made back in the early 20th century.
There was a book that came out about him about maybe 10, 12 years ago. And actually at the Italian Cultural Institute, which is right on the edge of the Tenderloin, there was a pretty good kind of... I don't know if it was one day or multiple days, but there was definitely good information presented around that.
Oh, that's great. I don't think I ever saw that.
Yeah, just an aside about that.
Yeah.
So you felt that just getting the word out through that site, that was maybe enough for
that was one major
the people
way
that you wanted to go to the shows?
But then, I would also like invite people more personally that I knew in town, or occasionally back then, we would still make posters, if I recall.
Nice.
And staple them to
Yeah.
telephone poles or whatever.
Get involved in the flyer wars.
Yeah, but there wasn't anything like now where you have Facebook events and all the other platforms.
Right. That was all a ways off.
Yeah.
For better and worse.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have? Did you archive any of your posters that you did? Do you have any hanging around? No pun intended.
I probably do, like buried in a box somewhere. I'm a compulsive like storer of souvenirs and remembrances. Yeah. Much to my wife's chagrin, she thinks I'm a hoarder. But yeah, I have flyers. It's not really organized or easily accessible, but if you want, I can like look for that stuff. If you want to somehow include those in whatever this becomes.
I always love to see ephemera.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. maybe someday we'll open up that box and
Yeah.
go through it and have a good laugh, and a fascinating time.
Yeah.
So getting back to that one point you made, you did mention that you were brought on board mostly for the electronics side,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just curious about your era at the Luggage Store music series. What were what was it primarily improvisational music and free jazz with a
Yeah.
smattering of electronics, or was it a good balance between multiple flavors of that kind of underground approach to music production?
Yeah, as I recall, I mean, there was all kinds of stuff, and it depended on who the artists were. But as I recall, like before I got involved, it was mostly like more acoustic, free improv stuff, and there was no like permanent sound system that was there. So anytime you did want to do like amplified stuff, you'd need to bring in gear, or like each artist would have to bring in, their own amps or whatever. And
Okay.
around the same time that I started like curating stuff there, me and a couple friends, we went in on some big Mackie powered speakers so that we could do our own shows at places that didn't have sound systems. And so for most of those shows that I programmed, it was me like carrying these big speakers up that steep flight of stairs, and we had like the big metal tripods to put speakers on, and
Right.
So we would set everything up in the gallery before every show, take it down. And it was, every show was different. I mean, there were, even amongst the stuff that Ernesto was programming, there were occasionally electronics or amplified stuff going on. But my shows, I just, since that was what I was interested in, that's what I focused on. And I thought it was, something that there wasn't at the time a place where that was the focus. I mean, it happened, but
Okay.
there wasn't like a special series that kind of was in that direction. So
Okay.
I felt like it was a good niche to fill.
Yeah, definitely. And are there any artists or acts that really stand out for you? Any ones that you felt really had a higher bar and were really
That played there?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there were some high points. I had Carl Stone play there a couple times. He's a great sample jockey.
That's a good
During
term.
that time, like almost all of his work was centered around chopping up and rearranging the song Barbie Girl to the point where you couldn't, if no one told you, you couldn't tell that that's what it was. But
wow.
he was just obsessed with that song. He just like would mulch it into this granular soundscape.
That's amazing.
And just like improvisationally, shift the parameters of this. Yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, and he was a friend, and I had him there quite a bit. People like Bob Ostertag.
Oh yeah.
Evolution Control Committee. Matt Ingalls, who is still pretty active, I think, in the scene there. Do you know him?
Yeah.
He was a clarinet
had
player.
interactions with Matt on various sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a clarinet player, but he was also an electronic enthusiast, so he fit right in. There was one point where I did this thing called the Electro Improv Jamboree. I invited 6 different soloists that did electronics and me, and I would just kind of on the fly, like I would say like you 2 play or you 3 play. Okay, now you 4 play. And I would just like create these random ensembles.
Yeah, I feel like I may have gone to one of those because when
cool.
you stated the name of that, the Jamboree, it clicked a memory for me. I can't be 100%, but that sounds very familiar to
Cool.
me.
Yeah, so maybe we actually met before.
No, we were both in the San Francisco Bay Area at that time. That's for sure.
Another highlight.
Yeah,
And I love this story. I like to tell this story. I was in touch with the 2 guys who are Matmos, and they lived in San Francisco at the time.
Yeah,
and one of them, Martin, had this side project called Disc, and it kind of had rotating membership, but it was mostly him and Jay Lesser, and I think there was a 3rd person who I forget. But anyway, I had them play one time at the Luggage Store, and I remember, like, I usually did this with any artist. It wasn't anything special about them, but I would always kind of point out to people that hadn't played there before that it was a very boomy space, because it was a very high ceiling.
Oh yeah,
and it was just white walls and as I recall, like hardwood floors. So it was just bouncy and boomy.
Things can really resonate inside of that room.
So I would just mention that usually to anybody that played, like, just kind of keep that in mind for, when you're doing what you're doing, because, that's the environment you're in. And I remember Martin, like, kind of, I still don't know if he was like joking or if he was seriously offended, but he was like, "Are you actually asking us to play quieter?" That's a great moment. So
always a dicey proposition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to, especially when it's, music that's all about strange noises. It's hard to, like, tell people to quiet down. But it really did, make a difference. If you just turned down a little bit so there wasn't quite as much sound bouncing around.
Yeah. It seems like some artists on the noise side, they really want those heavy reverberations going back and forth. But yeah, there is the point of, like you mentioned, the granular aspects. Those can sometimes be hard to latch on to with the ears if the ears are just hurting from the pure volume. But that's a huge debate, and people go around and around with that one.
There's certain people that they want the sound to be physical. They want, like, you to be able to feel it in your body,
right?
So I respect that. But if you're doing something and you want people to, like, kind of be able to discern the tiny details of what you're doing, then you have to think about the kind of room that you're in, But
absolutely,
to each their own.
yeah, especially in the creative side of music. I feel that people go towards that just because they really want to be able to do exactly what they want to do without the music industry dictates of performance and all that.
Yeah.
So you do have to respect it.
Yeah. And that's why you have these underground spaces mostly where this stuff happens, because you don't usually get to play that stuff in, like, a bar, because the bar owner he wants to sell alcohol. He doesn't really care about the music.
Right.
Except as far as, like, it's going to bring people in to buy more alcohol.
Right.
So that's why, a lot of music like that, not just in the Bay Area, but all over, happens in alternative spaces like galleries and warehouses and, people's houses. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And, we're lucky sometimes to have like an actual institutional venue. Like the Lab is a great example in San Francisco.
Right.
Where it's like a place that's actually set up to be about, experimental stuff.
Yeah, and that's why the Luggage Store series is so endearing, because it's just it was that. It was a place where you knew you could go, and hopefully going forward into we're taping this at the end of 2024, and hopefully going forward it will remain a place where people who want to explore creative aspects will be able to access.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just that for so many years.
Yeah, it's really pretty amazing that it lasted so long.
Oh, yeah. What were the booking policies that you used like? I guess another way of asking it was, for me, would be, was there a competition for getting shows? Was there cooperation amongst artists? Did people approach you, or did you approach them? How did that network function for you and the artists that you work with?
It was kind of a mix. Like with a lot of these kind of spaces or nights of curated stuff. It was a mix of like, people from out of town touring, like asking if they could play.
Oh, okay.
And then, I would usually base the evening around that person, and then bring in people that I thought were compatible, or weren't. That they were like interestingly different from that person.
Yeah, juxtaposition.
Yeah.
So,
that was always like kind of a great thing about doing stuff in the Bay Area. People were always coming through from all over the world, and so we got exposed to a lot of work, and people, because of the Bay Improviser and other sources of information, people knew about all these venues around the Bay Area. Even if they were like from Germany or something, they could find out and contact us. And
can you recall one or two touring acts that were kind of coups for you, as far as like, oh, we got this guy? You know what I mean? Because like let's face it, that is an aspect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, try to think. I mean, I could give you some examples of people that weren't necessarily on my radar beforehand, but turned out to be that's extremely great shows. Like Boris Hoff, who is from Vienna. I think he lives in London now, but he played at the Luggage Store, and he was in town for quite a while after that, and so we ended up like recording some stuff and and jamming. He was mostly a saxophone player, but also did electronics. And yeah, his work is great.
Cool.
I remember a guy named Christopher Willits, who I forget where he was from originally, but he did wonderful, beautiful kind of guitar sent through a lot of computerized processing, and again, the granular kind of glitch aesthetic. He was a standout.
Excellent.
I remember, I mean, there wasn't really like, oh man, they're so famous, I'm so glad that they're going to come. It was more like, it was a small kind of, it was an insular, not necessarily, in a bad way, but like it was a kind of fraternal community. It was a
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, we're trying to like score Sonic Youth or something to play here. It was more just like, this is our little space, and if somebody's coming through, you know, if they're compatible, let's have them. But we're not like kind of out to. We didn't have like a lot of like ambitions for like greatness or anything.
Right. Well, that's a very lovely aspect of the Luggage Store music series.
Yeah.
And I really think that you described that very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
As far as the scene around the Luggage Store music series went, what were your impressions of the audience? Who was coming to these shows? Like, what were their behaviors? Like, for example, sometimes when I think about my experiences at the Luggage Store, I think about like people often would have like a beer in a brown bag, and they just have it in front of their chair, right? Just little any details like that of the people who were supporting this scene. Like these music scenes are ultimately, like you just described, about the everyday people who are involved. Do you have any insight or descriptions of these people who are attending these events?
I mean, again, it was really a community venue, and I mean community in the larger sense of like the entire Bay Area creative music scene, and it was one stop on several of these venues that were around the area. You know, there was like bean vendors in Berkeley, and there were always different spaces in Oakland. Like, do you remember Art Rattan? That was it was an old like furniture store originally that was just a warehouse.
Okay.
And Matt Ingalls used to program stuff.
Oh,
there.
Okay.
And he, I proposed to him like Detritus Night, which was like, you know, trying to get all artists that did the kind of sample-based music that I was into. So I had myself and Wobbly and Carl Stone and forget who else that night. But anyway, there were these different places that, you know, people knew about and went between them, and I feel like most of the people that came to the Luggage Store were just, they were friends and family, you know, or they were other players who just came, you know, if it wasn't their gig, they were coming to like support the people that were playing.
Yes.
And I don't really recall. I felt like most of the people that came, they knew the deal. You know, they weren't like confused or surprised. They come up the stairs and knew that there was a folding chair for them to sit in, and they didn't. There was no like, what the hell's going on?
I gotta say that I did have the experience a few times of that dynamic.
Really?
Like people just had wandered in off of Market Street, and that was always an interesting. It didn't happen often, the times when I went to the Luggage Store, but when it did happen those few times, it was kind of fascinating to observe.
Yeah.
Because all of the music that's been created there is very singular and very much outside of the standard parameters of what music can and should be.
Right. Yeah, it's not like you're just walking into a cover band doing blues or something. It's
right.
Very distinctive.
Right. Yeah. As far as and we touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to ask about the environment around the Luggage Store. 6th Street and Market can be a very hard scrabble place. Many people bottom out there.
Yeah.
were there any experiences that you had that you could give as a sort of illustration of what that urban environment was like around? Like you definitely mentioned the fact that your things might be stolen from your vehicle.
Yeah, you had to worry about that.
Yeah. Any deeper remembrances of certain characters that were on Market Street that may have had some kind of an effect on people going to the luggage store? Or?
I mean, it's been like 22 years since I
Okay.
was last there. I don't
Yeah.
have very clear memories of that kind of thing. I know that, like with any kind of low-income neighborhood, there was definitely signs of that. There was the gritty, like, dirt of the street, and there was garbage, and there was
I can recall
unhoused people like on the sidewalks and stuff, but
yeah.
I don't recall like a particular incident or anything.
Okay. I can recall like a couple blocks south of Market Street on 6, there is Natoma Street, and I can recall watching like cockfights.
Oh wow!
Like just like straight up like country like cockfights going on Natoma.
Wow.
With these like birds that were just half dead and pecking away each other, and that was and probably remains a rather normal aspect of that environment.
Yeah.
Within that part of San Francisco. Yeah, but fair enough. It has been many years. So, but I had to ask because I know that for me, that part of San Francisco is fascinating and terrifying.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I do remember. Around the corner there was this Vietnamese restaurant that I used to like.
Oh, Toulon.
Yeah. Were you telling me about how they got in trouble with the health department?
Big time trouble.
Right.
Yeah, it was scandalous.
Like reusing rice.
Yeah.
I never knew about that at the time, and it kind of like is concerning now. But I used to think it was good food.
I can distinctly remember a very bad stomach ache from after eating at Toulon. My apologies, Toulon, if you're still there, but some standards are there for a reason.
Yeah.
So, what ended your tenure at the Luggage Store Creative Music Series?
It was only because I was moving away from the area.
Okay.
Yeah, in January 2002, I moved to Portland, and let's see. Do you know Matt Davignon?
Yes.
Okay, so he, I think, took over doing electronic nights there.
Yes.
At least for a while.
Oh, he was there for some time because when I became a regular attendee at events there, it was starting in about 2011.
Okay.
And Matt was one of the curators, and he stayed there, I believe, until 2015. I might have that date incorrect, but Matt was there for quite some time.
That's cool.
He put a lot of work in at the Luggage Store too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I left in January. I actually had a gig there in April of that year. I came down from Portland for that. And that was the last show I was involved in at the Luggage Store.
Cool.
And I rarely get back to the Bay Area, so I don't think I've even been in that space since then.
Many years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting how so many spaces are still around and other places are not, and it's not always how you would expect or predict, like when I was there just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I went to this free jazz night at the Makeout Room, which is on like 22nd and Mission approximately.
Yeah.
And I remembered that place from 25 years ago, and it's just like so cool that like stuff sticks around. But then other things, they get gentrified out of existence
It
that you
happens.
expected to be around, you know.
Yeah.
Like Adobe Bookstore. Well, I think they still exist, but they moved like further south in the Mission. But
Yeah, they're pretty deep down 24th now,
Yeah.
as I recall.
yeah, so it's just interesting. The things that stay the same and the things that change are not always what you expect.
Great. Well, Steve, I want to thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me about the Luggage Store Creative Music Series.
Sure.
I've been Disaster Amnesiac, and thank you for watching and paying attention.